Have you ever noticed how your mental state can shift a calm instant into a storm of worry in just seconds? Initially, everything appears fine, and then immediately you're overwhelmed by worries about future problems somewhere in your future timeline. What if you learned there's one simple thought that can terminate anxiety once and for all? A thought so powerful that it can reconnect you with peace in no time at all, regardless of how suffocating your anxieties seem today. Keep watching, because what I'm about to share could revolutionize entirely about the way you live each day, particularly relevant if you're 60 plus and perceive that nervousness has transformed into your uninvited partner. Derived from compiled scholarly studies performed by universities worldwide and health education resources accessible to all by recognized authorities, this information was compiled to present contemporary understanding specifically tailored to people over 60. And before advancing further, if you're someone who struggles with uneasy thought processes, accelerated fears, or that continuous experience of nervous energy in your core, do me a favor right now. Press that subscription button and ring the bell, because this resource is centered on delivering actionable insights that authentically serves you practically, beyond simple ideas that appears useful but offers nothing when you're restlessly alert at the small hours before dawn. Now, consider this question. How long has it been since you experienced true inner stillness? Not simply having your attention elsewhere, not in a state of numbness, but truly tranquil. For most individuals, especially as we get older, it appears that calm is something from our earlier years, something we knew before burdens multiplied, before we learned to worry about health complications, economic safety, relationship difficulties, and the burden of paths not chosen, about roads not taken. Anxious thoughts become perpetual background chatter, this relentless follower insinuating upcoming troubles and nightmare situations. But the actual truth is that therapists and awareness scholars have established through prolonged examination, anxiety cannot exist in the present moment. Absorb that statement. Anxious thoughts have no place in present awareness. It's fundamentally impossible. Worry is perpetually regarding something that hasn't happened yet or previous experiences. It inhabits totally in the mental landscape of memory and anticipation, never in the genuine present. Reflect on this reality. When nervous energy consumes you, what are you actually anxious about? You're stressing over a doctor's appointment next week, a talk that's ahead of you, a pending expense, or you're rehashing past events, an error from your past, statements you'd like to retract, openings you overlooked. However, in this instant, in this particular moment as you're taking in these statements, are you doing okay? Not some other day, not in the past, but at this moment. Your heartbeat persists, you're taking in oxygen, life flows through you now. And in this instant, minus all the storylines about before and later, there's genuinely no problem. This stands as the one concept that eliminates worry permanently. I exist in this moment. 3 plain words. I occupy this current instant. Not some tomorrow location, not I existed there previously. I occupy this instant. This isn't merely cheerful thought or just an encouraging slogan to stick on your mirror. This is a fundamental truth about the character of fear and the power of present moment awareness. When you orient your undivided focus to the actual present, when you really anchor yourself in the living present, anxiety dissolves because it discovers no support structure. It's akin to fearing an illusion once clarity emerges. The ghost simply ceases to exist. Let me relate a narrative about Margaret, an individual I learned about from an awareness training facility that supports elderly individuals. At 72, Margaret had endured persistent anxious thoughts for most of her adult life. After her husband passed away, her worry intensified. She constantly stressed over her medical condition, about being a burden to her children, about depleting her savings, about facing death and solitude. She would begin every morning with tension throughout her chest, her thinking already in overdrive through every conceivable difficulty that day. She experimented with drugs. She sought professional mental health support. She pursued continuous busyness, but nothing provided enduring peace. Then at one moment, during a particularly harsh fear surge, her daughter presented an uncomplicated thought. Mother, direct your attention to me. Right now, are you okay? Not later today, not 60 minutes ahead, but presently. Margaret ceased her spiral, looked at her daughter, drew in air, and became aware that in that specific second, she was genuinely all right. Nothing terrible was taking place in that instant. The nervous energy focused on constructed future possibilities, not the existing situation. That marked her transformation. Margaret adopted the practice of what she named her present state inquiries. As fear started to emerge, she would interrupt her thoughts and inquire, "At this point, am I really okay?" And nearly every time the answer was yes. She was maintaining respiration, she was secure, she was present in life. The current instant became her sanctuary, her steadying foundation when her mental state endeavored to yank her into whirlwinds of anxiety. Gradually, the nervous crises became rarer, gentler, because she developed the skill to pause herself before plunging into constructed catastrophes. She understood that she had an option: reside in her apprehensive thoughts about what might come, or exist in the calm truth of now. This embodies what academic research on awareness and being present studies have revealed. Academic work from places like Harvard University's Medical Division and the University of Massachusetts have demonstrated that awareness techniques, which are primarily exercises in present awareness, can dramatically lessen apprehension and stress. Scientists have found that when people train themselves to live in the immediate moment, their brain literally rewires. The amygdala region, the cerebral component in charge of stress responses, becomes less reactive. In the same period, areas associated with concentration and emotional control grow more robust. In other words, existing in the immediate moment transcends mere political technique. It's physically transforming your brain to be less apprehensive and more centered. Yet, this is where many individuals reach an impasse. They think being present means you shouldn't think about what's coming or draw lessons from yesterday. That misses the essence. Of course, you need to plan, to get ready, to hold on to acquired knowledge. What makes this different is whether you're thinking about what's ahead from a centered space or from a space of fear. When you're centered in this moment, you can think about what's ahead with clarity and take practical action. When you're lost in anxiety, you're merely circling in thought spirals that create no positive outcomes. A vast difference exists between beneficial arranging and anxious stressing. Organizing questions: what moves can I make currently to make arrangements for upcoming events? Fearful rumination questions: what awful event could transpire that I cannot influence? One enables you, the other incapacitates you. If you're getting something meaningful from this, if something connects for you at this second, post a comment underneath with the numeral 1. Just the number 1. That shows me these words reach individuals who need it, and it facilitates this video getting to greater numbers who are fighting nervous energy. And if you're not subscribed already, please do that now, because we're building a community of people who decide on calm over chaos, now awareness over fearful thinking, and I want you to be part of that. Let me offer you a usable technique you can use immediately. When next you perceive apprehension growing, those familiar feelings of chest pressure building, your mind spinning, your body becoming rigid, give this a try. Cease your present task. Position one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Shut your eyes when feasible. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, noticing your belly swell. Then exhale air slowly via your lips. As you take in air, say to yourself, I live in this present. Air flows through me. I'm living. Everything is okay currently. Perform this 5 cycles, 5 breathing cycles, 5 affirmations of current reality. What you're doing is drawing your attention away from the constructed possibilities your thinking is creating and grounding it in the physical sensations of your physical being currently. Your respiration is perpetually in the current instant. You cannot draw breath from before or breath yet to come, just this current breath right now. That establishes your breath as the ideal grounding point to reconnect you with the present. Another method that many individuals regard as helpful is labeled as the sensory grounding practice. When fear emerges, enumerate 5 visible items at this moment, 4 things you can touch, 3 things reaching your ears, 2 scents, and 1 taste you detect. This pushes your focus into the immediate present through your senses, and anxious thoughts cannot sustain their hold when you're completely absorbed in now perception. Put this to the test. You could find it remarkable how quickly the anxious thought loses potency when you're observing the feeling of your feet on the ground beneath you, birdsong from outside, the taste of coffee present in your mouth. Each of these represents current instant sensations, and anxious thoughts have no ground to stand on when you're absolutely in the present. Let me tackle something significant for individuals aged 60 plus. There's often this perception that we ought to understand this by now, that nervous energy is somehow a deficiency in us after all these decades of years of living. Absorb this truth. Your anxiety is not a character deficiency. It's not evidence that you've misused your time or that you're inadequate. Anxiety is a natural human response that can grow hyperactive, especially when we've weathered many storms, when we've faced bereavement, when we're confronting the real aspects of aging. Society continuously tells us to be anxious about advancing years. Concern yourself with failing health, fear irrelevance, worry about running out of time. These ideas become embedded, and they fuel worry.